Hey everybody! Today I'm going to give you a tutorial about migration from SQL Server to the MySQL or MariaDB using MySQL Workbench migration tool. What we need to prepare is make sure that you have the SQL Server Management Studio, and in this case I will using sqlserverexpress as the server of this demonstration, and then make sure you have installed your MySQL or MariaDB server in your local host, and then you need MySQL Workbench for migrating the database. Okay. So when you open the MySQL Workbench, and before we start to migrate, make sure what database that you will migrate. In this demonstration, I will using this database, data sample demo, that have one table just for example, dbo.table example, that have three column. Then I want to migrate them to MySQL database. Maybe if only a little data, you don't need to migrate, you just can make a new database in MySQL. But if you have a very huge data or a big data, like maybe this example of data, you have so many tables and so many data, so you need to migrating with an automatic tools, and MySQL Workbench can help you do that. And what we use is open the MySQL Workbench and select migration wizard. Okay. The first thing that we should make sure is we have the connection to the from MySQL server to the SQL server. Here is. So the default is you have some connections here, but you need to get this connection SQL server. If you can't find in your computer, so you can add and you can select this one, but if you have, you don't need to select. And I find in unique case, like when you're using the SQL Server Express as a server, you need to configure the data source administration, like this, the ODBC data source. SQL, click next. In my connection, let's take a look. I'm using the server is SQL Express, and the authentication is using Windows authentication, so I don't need to make SQL Server authentication. It's automatically using my Windows authentication. So make sure it was same with the configuration in this ODBC data source administration. How should SQL Server verify the authentication of the login ID using Windows and the authentication? So check this one and connect to the SQL Server. Obtain default setting for the optional configuration option. Make sure it was same Windows 8.1, and in here Windows 8.1. It's already same, and then click next. So the default database, I want to change it to the data sample demo because I want to migrating the data sample demo. Actually, you will just again when you migrate, but for the safety and for preparing better you set the default database to the database that you want to migrate. Okay, next, and just click finish. Let's test the data source. Okay, when it said test completely successfully, it means that now you can connect to the SQL server your data, and click OK, and let's start the migration. Okay, so search RDBMS connection parameters database system, because the search of our case is SQL server. Select Microsoft SQL server from the search source, and then the connection is ODBC data source. Okay, and the database, wait, let's test connection. Okay, the connection is successfully. Let's type your database here. We use data sample demo, so type in here data sample demo. Okay, test connection. The search to the DBMS connection is successfully connected. So the next step is we need to test the connection to the target RDBMS. So the start connection is I'm using the localhost, and the parameter is this host name of my server, this one. So the username I used to log in my MySQL or MariaDB database is in root. So let's test the connection. Okay, the target DBMS is connected successfully. Okay, let's take a look. You don't need to change anything, so let's click next. Okay, finish performing tasks, then click next again, and here you will choose which database that you want to migrate. You can keep an option. Do you want to migrate only the schema or only one schema, or keep the schema as a catalog? Like, it's just how you will take the structure into the MySQL database. I will just using the only one schema like this. So I will get my data sample demo dot table. So next, okay, finish, and next, and migrate table objects. Usually when you have a very complex database, you will have more option to select, but because this is very simple database, so I just checked one, the migrate table objects. Next, okay, no migration problem found, one warnings. Let's just click next. Create schema in a target DBMS, of course. Next, okay, let's click next. And here you will get a like preview of the SQL like this. This is the preview of the SQL language, and this is actually when I found some case when I use migrating a very huge data, and I found some error here, some bug, and then I click command out, then I click apply, and then recreate objects, and I run the previous step again, and it will work. So because there's no error here, so we keep Next. And this is option for the copy of migrated schema tables in target MySQL. It's up to you what you want to create. Batch file to copy the data to another time, or just online copy of the data to the target DBMS. I choose the first option, online copy of the data to the target DBMS, and then I click next. Okay, finishing performing task. Click next again. This is it, and the data is stored completely. It happens so fast because I just only have 3 rows of the data and just only have a table, and I don't have a very much scheme. Actually, not any scheme, but when you have a complex data like maybe adventure works example data that Microsoft serve, I've tried migrating them, and it takes about 3 hours to migrate the data because it has so many rows and so many data. So I click finish. You have successfully migrate your database to the MySQL server. And now let's check out in the MySQL server. Let's refresh, and your data sample demo is here. And this is yours. Have 3 rows, exactly like what in your SQL server. Thank you.